Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special channel review. Just recently, IAmTimCorey hit 100,000 subscribers. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to review where the channel came from, where it is today, and where it's going. Along the way, I'm also going to answer one of the most popular questions I get pretty much on a daily basis. In fact, most people ask this question. So I wanted to kind of get this question out there. Hopefully, it will make things easier for you and you can move forward faster with that. But first, I do want to say thank you very much. Thank you for being a part of the channel. Thank you for subscribing, and really thank you for encouraging me along the way. There are a number of people who have come along and said, this is helpful. Thank you for this. I appreciate this. Those kind words are really, really helpful. Okay? They really do push me to keep going. The fact that I am making a difference, that my content is helping somebody is really, really important. Okay? That's really the purpose behind this channel. So let's start by talking through where this channel came from. So a few years ago, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, actually about 5, I was teaching in a community college. And at that community college, I would teach once a week in the evenings. I'd teach C#. And if you've gone through trying to learn C#, learning it once a week can be difficult. And the reason why is because you forget. Life gets busy. And so you do 3 hours in class on, say, a Wednesday night, and then you wait until next Wednesday to touch it again, and then you've forgotten everything. And so that was difficult for my students. Now, part of that is it takes self-discipline. It takes the discipline to create practice projects and to do the homework and to work on things throughout the week. But I get it, life is hard. And sometimes you just forget what we covered in the lecture. And books, honestly, aren't that great. And so what I did is I said, you know what, I'm going to create some really quick YouTube videos to help you out with what we covered this week. And so I created a bunch of videos. You can still find most of them on my channel. They're labeled CIS-163 is the first designation. I have them actually in a playlist now. And those videos were, quite frankly, horrible as far as quality goes. Okay, there was no thought to this as anything beyond my class. And so there's a buzzing noise in the background. I use a kind of a junky USB mic. I was doing it in, I think, my bedroom at the time. That's where my little office setup was. And, there was noise in the background, and my demos weren't totally cohesive sometimes, and I had some issues. And that was fine because it was just for my class, and I was just trying to help them. I'm like, hey, here's what we looked at this week. Here's how to review that. And that's all it was for. And that's pretty much how my YouTube channel started, was just those videos. And it wasn't until about, I think it was a year or so later, that I started to notice an uptick. And it was more than just my students who were watching my videos. And this is really, I'm not quite sure how it happened, because of the fact that I did an advertisement anyway. We talk about search engine optimization. I had the opposite, where some creators work on those buzzy words or things that try and draw you in. I was the opposite. I was saying CIS-163. So unless you're searching for that, you're probably not finding my videos. And yet somehow they started getting picked up, and people started to watch them and comment on them outside of my class. And I realized quite quickly that the comments I were getting were things like, I didn't understand this and now I do. Or this is what I was missing and I found it. And I found that there was a missing piece to tutorials out there. And that was something that I had experienced, I just didn't know how to put into words. And so it's something I started to work on was, well, what is missing? And the thing that's missing is that real world element. The idea that you're not just learning demos. And that's something that teaching still struggles with today, is the idea that they're more than just demos. Demos aren't what you do in the real world. Demos work great, and they're beautiful because they're all pristine. Real production code is messy. It's ugly sometimes. It doesn't follow the best practices, and it's not all clean and using the latest version of everything. It's old code that was thrown together quickly and has lots of bugs in it. And so when you learn in this pristine environment and you go to this messy environment, you find out that what you learn doesn't work. And so that's where I started to create videos that kind of filled that gap, where I said, okay, here's how this is going to plug into the real world. And that started to become very, very popular. And I saw a pretty rapid increase. I can still remember the first time I hit 1,000 subscribers. And that was huge because it was mind-blowing to me that there were 1,000 people out there that found this valuable and found that this was something they wanted, even though there was other creators out there also doing that. And there's a lot of great creators that do YouTube comments or YouTube videos around these topics. So it's not like I'm the only one or the only one that's even doing it this way. And so it was, humbled for sure by your faith in me. And so that kind of grew. And so I want to take you through a journey a little bit. Let's go back and look at my YouTube channel and look at kind of that growth pattern, because this can also encourage you if you're thinking about diving into a subject, whether it be a YouTube career or even a YouTube side project or anything else. One of the things you're going to see is that this is not something that happened overnight. Okay, this is not something where I put the effort in and immediately saw a result. Okay, so let's go to my YouTube. Here is my view of my YouTube channel. All right, so notice 100,000 subscribers, 192 videos. So the counting on this is a little weird. This is 192. Other place I think it's over 200. It's up in the air how they do that. But let's go and look at. We're going to go to the. Let's go to the dashboard first. I'm going to go to the analytics page, but on the Classic Creator Studio. Okay, so this is my dashboard. It kind of shows what's going on. So like my latest video, weekly challenges typically are not my most popular videos. And from a YouTube metric perspective, I should drop them. But the reality is I'm going harder towards them because they are what I really believe makes a big difference. If you practice something, you'll get better at it. If you just watch a video and then watch another video, what you're getting is mostly entertainment. And while I guess I'm entertaining, I'm not sure. I can't imagine that I am, but cool. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to help you succeed. I'm here to help make learning C# easier. And the way you do that is through practice. It takes work. Okay? So even though you'll see like on my top 10 latest videos, this is number 9 right now for traffic, that's okay. That's okay. Because I know that it will be helpful to people. And if you were to go through this challenge and do the practice, you will find that your skills grow. So I am definitely focused on that, even though things like what's new in C#, that did 8 times the traffic. Okay? Now, that's not to say that people are just getting entertainment out of the rest. They're definitely getting value out of it. It's just that some people need, one of the big questions I have from people is, well, how do I get, how do I know what practice projects to do? Well, I'm going to give you a practice project every week, or most every week. I skip a week once in a while if life gets busy, but that's the intent and focus. Okay, so this is my channel dashboard. We're going to go to the Classic Studio. And the reason why is because this new studio is brand new meaning 6 months or more, but it doesn't have all the stuff in here that I like. So let's go to Classic Creator and let's go over to my analytics. Okay, so analytics, and we're going to stay in the Classic, and we're going to go to the overview. Okay, so this is the overview of my channel, and you can see all the information about it. This is for the last 90 days. All right, so these are the key metrics that I look at. Now, 90 days isn't a ton of time. It's only 3 months, so since August 17th. And you'll see that views, I mean, they go up and down, but it's generally trending a little bit up. Likes and dislikes. One of the things that people get something you can get concerned about is how can you dislike a video? And I have that question too. I mean, honestly, I would love it if everyone loved my stuff. The reality is not everybody does. In fact, people will probably dislike this video. That's okay. But one of the things that YouTube does is says, if you interact with a video, then you are making that video more popular. So when you interact with a dislike, not a problem really, because what you're doing is saying this video is garnering a reaction. Therefore, it's more popular in the YouTube search algorithm. So yes, it's kind of a bummer sometimes to get dislikes. I do have this weird conspiracy theory. I think there are a couple of people that are subscribed to my channel that intentionally go through and dislike my videos. I'm not sure why. But it seems like I've seen a pattern where even before the video has been out long enough to watch the whole thing, unless you, I guess, go to 2x or something like that, there's a dislike. Okay? And that seems to be pretty common. You'll see that, or they'll miss sometimes, but they'll come back and it's all of a sudden there's a dislike. Now, maybe it's not. Maybe I'm making things up and it's different people each time. But it seems like there's about 2 or 3 dislikes for almost every video. So it's kind of sad almost to see no dislikes, because I'm like, where'd that person go? I mean, are they okay? Whatever, so, but I'm not bothered by that. I used to be. To be quite honest, I used to be bothered by that because I do want to provide something to you that you love. And the fact that you disliked it enough to say, I don't like this, bothered me. But I have to realize, and I do realize, that my content is not for everyone. In fact, I have people tell me that was too basic. And my response is, yeah, okay. Because an intro to video is going to be basic from me. Because I want you to get the foundation. I want you to get that set. Because just learning brand new features and cool edge stuff, that's awesome. But the reality is that you need to use it in the real world. And that means you need to understand the foundational fundamentals of what you're learning. So I'm definitely going to go basic. I'm going to repeat things more than once. But I want to focus you and say, these things are important. And repetition helps with that. Now, also, I speak slow. Part of that is I have a hard time typing and talking and thinking ahead at the same time. Okay, I can barely do one of those things well. So trying to cram all 3 together, it's difficult sometimes. Sorry, okay? The cool thing is that a lot of you out there are not from the US. A lot of you are not even native English speakers. Okay, you speak English as a second language or a third or a fourth even, which I find amazing, okay? I mean, it's awesome. Some of you have actually apologized for how you speak and say it might not be clear enough because I'm not a native English speaker. Don't apologize, okay? The fact that you're speaking a different language than what you're born with is really impressive. But for those people, sometimes slower is better. And the cool thing is YouTube does have the speed controls. And so those speed controls have been very, very helpful. For me, if I'm going to rewatch what I taught on, I'll watch it at 1.5 or even 2x. Okay, and yes, I do watch my own stuff once in a while. And the reason why is this. I do stuff not just for you. I do stuff for me. So I will go through and tackle a topic and try to get all the information possible into that video. And then that's also my documentation. Because here's the trick people often miss. A senior software developer, which I'd be a senior software developer. A senior software developer does not know everything. In fact, there's a lot of topics where I know the concept and I know how to do it, but I can't tell you the syntax. And so I go look at the syntax and go, oh, okay, got it, and go do it. In fact, Dapper, which I use, if you followed any of my videos, you probably know that I use Dapper a lot. I don't necessarily know all of Dapper syntax. In fact, I'll go back and look at my notes if I'm going to create it from scratch. And usually, I'll copy and paste from a previous project or pull down NuGet packages that I've created, which I'm working on a NuGet package to maybe even give to you that has my Dapper code in it, just because I find that it makes life easier. So, but yeah, you don't have to memorize everything. I don't expect you to, and that's why I go back and watch my own videos, is to refresh my memory on what did I say on this topic, okay? All right, so let's talk through numbers. I'm going to change this date range. We're going to go for June 1st. So June 1st, and we're going to go to 2015 to now, okay? That's roughly how long this channel has been fully active, okay? So these are the numbers for this channel from June 1st. Now, the channel was originally started in October of 2011. So it was up for about 4 years before it started to pick up a little bit of steam. Before that, it was 1 view, 2 views, 1 view, 0 views. But this is where it started to pick up steam. So we're already 4 years in the future from when it started. But I just want to review kind of what's going on, because some people, wonder behind the scenes, what does this look like and how does it work? All right. So this is watch time in hours. So if you notice, it starts off at 7 or 8 hours a day, and now let's mouse over here, 60, 75 days worth, so 1,800 hours, and that's in one day. Okay. So that's definitely been a curve up. The average view duration, this is something that YouTube pays attention to that I don't, okay? Now, the YouTube algorithm says the percentage of views that a video gets, the larger the percentage, the more popular it is. Therefore, the more we're going to promote it, which means that my videos are not promoted as much, and I'm okay with that. I wish it wasn't the case, but if I were to create videos that YouTube wants, I would create 3 to 5 minute videos on C#. I can't teach context in 3 to 5 minutes. I can teach entertainment. I can teach, hey, check this out. I can't teach content. I'm here for content. Therefore, my video is going to be between 40 and 60 minutes probably. And so therefore, the view duration of 9 minutes and 38 seconds, that's my average view duration. And notice it's about the same throughout. That view duration means I'm getting about 1/6 of the video is watched all the way through. I'm okay with that because my goal here is to help you. And YouTube is providing me a free platform to do that. And they're even advertising for me. Not as much because of the fact that I don't have that 90% view duration. But that's okay. All right. Now my views right now, 5.8 million over this time span, which is pretty impressive. That's a lot of people who have watched my videos. Estimated revenue. This is something that people are asking about. Well, wow, you've got your channel is so large, you must be making tons of money. Yes and no. Okay. So this right here, this number is the total that I have made from my channel over this 4-year span. Okay, so you divide that by 4, and now you're looking at $4,500 a year on average. That's not nothing. Absolutely. In fact, I'm to the point where most of my business expenses are paid out of my YouTube ads. Okay, so I am definitely not complaining. However, that is not a salary for the US. It may be in some countries, but for the US, that is definitely not a livable salary. Okay. In fact, that's not a livable salary for 1 year, let alone 4. So with that, I've debated turning off ads. Okay. Because if I'm getting so little out of it comparatively, but I'm making you go through the experience of ads, maybe I should just turn them off and save you the pain and just incur a little bit of pain on my side. However, since it is paying for my expenses, I've decided not to for now. Okay? I would like to at some point, and I have turned off what I find to be the most annoying of ads, and that's the mid-roll ad. So you can put an ad in the middle of your video so that as you're getting, you're just getting into it, it's getting good, and then a commercial comes in. I don't like that because it kind of breaks up your flow. It breaks up the concentration, and it means you're more likely to say, you know what, I'm not that into it. I'm going to jump out. So I don't offer those. I intentionally try to avoid those. If you ever see a mid-roll ad, let me know. It shouldn't be there. They should only ever be ads in the beginning. Okay? That's what I authorize. That's what I allow. Whether it be a skippable ad or an ad that you can't skip, or just a short little commercial, something like that. It should only be in the very, very beginning of my videos. Okay? Now, for those of you who maybe can't support me financially, if you watch the ad, I get a little more money. So I'm not saying you have to watch every ad. Please don't. You don't have to do anything for me financially. Okay? Financially, I'm okay. I'm good. But that is a way that I do gain a little bit of money from your views. Now, not a ton, but a little bit, and that's fine. Okay? So let's come down here to my top 10 videos. I find this fascinating. So my number one video is creating a C# application from idea to finished product. I created this video back in October of 2014. All right? So before we're even recording on this chart. Okay? Somehow this is my most popular video ever. All right? By a factor of 2. Okay? So 572,000 views versus 272,000 views for the next one. Okay? So what does this tell me? Well, that this idea, this create a C# application from start to finish, is a big deal. So that's why I created my first course. My first ever course was create a C# application from start to finish. It was a 25-hour course that expanded on this 2-hour idea, this 2-hour video. This video is of pretty poor quality as far as production quality, not as far as content. The content is solid, but the production quality, not great. And yet, I still have people to this day who are watching this video a lot. Okay, so that has kind of shaped where I focus my attention. My attention is on that start to finish idea. The idea that you want to see how this all connects together instead of a tutorial here and a tutorial there, and then you're left to figure out how do I connect these two together. Okay, that's where I try and fit things together, is that connection point. How do I put them together? And that's based upon what's most popular, and that's this right here. The next most popular is intro to MVC and how to connect to C# from SQL to C#, and that's the Dapper video. And then intro to Web API, intro to WPF, and I think that's all of the intros. Okay, so, but notice in the top 10, we have multiple intro to, because people are trying to figure out how to get started. And getting started on the right foot with a good foundation is important. Okay, so I've also made a point to try and give those good foundational videos to as many topics as I can. I try and make sure that I'm starting at the beginning. Some people say, well, I just want the newest features, or I just want you can skip the first 20 minutes. That's just beginner stuff. No, not going to. In fact, I get kind of irritated with people when they tell people in the comments, just go ahead and skip the first 20 minutes. It's not important. You're wrong, okay? So that's one place I'm going to get irritated because, and I've said this phrase more than once, people are not born knowing C#. So if you assume that everyone knows this, you're saying you were born with that knowledge. Well, guess what? Even you weren't born with that knowledge. I wasn't born with that knowledge. Somewhere along the way, you had to learn it. I'm going to teach it. And I'm going to teach it the right way. So that's my goal. And that's why I'm a little on edge about those type of comments, because it's important to not assume that everyone knows what you know, because then people feel like they're left out. They feel like it's a club that they're not in. There's the in club and there's me. I'm the outside. I'm an imposter. I am less than. I'm not good enough. And I hate the fact that you feel that way. because it's not something you should feel that way about. Okay? And we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. But just know I'm going to start from the beginning because everyone starts from the beginning. And I'm going to set the foundation well so that you can succeed. Okay? So that's been my focus. And it's because of this information here that I've seen where people are saying, that's what I want. Okay? Now, the rest of these top 10, that's something that people like. Top 10 best practices, top 10 plugins, top 10 features. Those are nice buzzy things. And I do them. And, some people actually call me out once in a while, like, hey, that's a nice clickbait headline. Yes and no. It's a headline focused on getting attention, sure. But my headlines always focus on the content. It's never a bait and switch. Okay? So, normally I pause the video, but I'm live on screen, so I'm going to drink water. So, all right. Now, let's go over, the last thing is let's talk about my website. Let's go there. So, IAmTimCorey.com started out of the idea that, you know what? People are asking for more. And so I'm going to give them more, but I have to be able to afford it. And so I was at the time full-time employed, and I was doing this as a side gig. And I was really doing it as a side gig because my side gig was being a consultant. So I've been a consultant for years, either on the side or full-time. And that's kind of what is my supplementary income. And it's been something that I've kind of grown over time. And I was seeing that I had to make a choice, create a video or do a consulting gig. The video wouldn't pay. And in fact, you saw the numbers for how much I get for every video. Not much. Okay. In fact, my best video ever has given me $1,000. Okay. But let's skip down to my number 10 video, $500, half of that. And that's been over time. Okay. So most videos don't give you a whole lot of money. And that if they do, it's trickled over years. So it's not like I can say that I'm going to make money off of this. And so I had to choose between consulting and getting paid and getting that side income versus content. And so I started to do is say, you know what? If I do paid content for some things, then I can treat that as consulting time. As in, I can replace some consulting hours with doing courses if I'll get paid for it. And so I try it out. And so I tried it out with the C# application from start to finish video. And in fact, I released that video on YouTube for free and as a paid video. And there's a difference. The paid video has no ads. It's all in one course. You can download it. It's got the source code along the way. It's got the database scripts. And I did a 40 or some page design guide to go along with it. Plus, I gave you a bonus video. So I did do some extra stuff for the paid version. But essentially what I was trying to say was, you know what? I could charge a couple $100s for this course. I'm going to give it to you. It's 25 hours. But I'm going to give it to you for $67. And I'm also going to give it away for free because my goal is to make learning C# easier. My goal is not to make money teaching C#. And I'm really, truly honest about that. My goal is not primarily to make money. Okay? Now, please don't get me wrong. I want to make money. I want to be able to not have to work anywhere else, which I don't anymore. Okay, I quit my job back in May of 2019. But really, my goal is to help people. And so one of the ways that I do that is giving away a ton of content. We have about 200 videos that I've given away. But I can't give everything away because I got to eat. All right? Kids have to eat. My wife kind of wants to have a roof over her head. Life. And so what I decided was, hey, if I can replace my consulting income with video course income instead, then I don't have to do consulting and I can still get that side income. And so I started doing that with some paid courses. And then things kind of started to snowball. A lot of people liked that course. In fact, thousands of people liked that course. And so I started to build up a larger income from my side gig. And so I kept adding courses and say, you know what, if you want courses, there you go. And some people that are from places that can't afford it. I mean, quite frankly, there are a number of countries where my videos are just way beyond what you can afford. And they ask, well, can I get a significant discount for your content? And I try to balance this because on one hand, I would love to get to you for free, honestly. On the other hand, I can't charge one person this and another person that just because, okay? Now, what I do instead is I put as much, if not all of my content on YouTube. Now, I don't have all my courses on YouTube. In fact, I only have 2 courses on YouTube that I also sell. But if you were to do the work and go through those 200 videos that I already have, you'll find almost everything you need that you would have gotten in the courses. The difference is the courses are easier and they're put together for you. So you don't have to do as much work. So my response is you can put in the work or you can put in the money. Either way, you're paying for it. And so if you can't afford the money, not a problem. You're going to have to do the work. And you can do that because you know what? That's what I did. And you'll be better off for it. However, I also do provide some perks and help even if you're not going to get my paid content. Because again, I want to help you. So let's talk through some of those. So this is IAmTimCorey. Now, IAmTimCorey has changed in the past year. It's been actually almost exactly a year since I moved to this platform called Teachable. I used to be on WordPress and I used to host it myself and do all the work of selling courses myself. The downside, there's a number of downsides. The downside there was that I was also the janitor. I was kind of the guy that's cleaning up after everything. If there was a new plugin or a plugin was updated, I had to go through and test it and make sure it worked. If something broke, it's on me to fix. And that was taking a lot of my time. And I really try to spend as much time as possible teaching a large audience because that's what's going to help the most people. So it was just not economical. Also, one of the big things was I have to charge VAT. Okay, so if you're from a European country or some other countries as well, you have, I believe it's the value added tax, I think that's what it's called, but VAT is where you have a product, and let's say it's $10, and the country you're in, the VAT tax is 20%. So now you'd add 20% to that $10, now it's $12, that's the new cost. Okay, so it's $12. Every quarter, if you sell in a country, you have to take that VAT money and submit it to the government. Okay, the government wants that money. It's not just for you to keep. The problem is that I started doing numbers in that I was going to have to do taxes in over 70 countries. That's not ideal, especially not quarterly. I have a hard enough time with taxes in my own country. And so that was actually a real danger to me selling my content. In fact, I was at one point considering, do I just not allow you to buy it? And that was killing me because that's not the point of IAmTimCorey. The point of IAmTimCorey is to help you learn C# easier. And so I kind of struggled what to do. And along came this service called Teachable. And Teachable, one of the things that it does, well, the idea behind it is we're the platform and you sell through us. Okay? So they do all the work behind the scenes as far as helping me set up classes and the page layouts and all that kind of stuff is kind of done for me. It's pretty much a drag and drop, dump your content in here. And they handle all of the financial side of things. this was a huge benefit because they also handle that for me. Okay, so when you're buying from me, you're actually buying from Teachable, who's selling on my behalf. Okay, because then at the end of the year, end of the quarter, Teachable does all those submissions to all those countries for me. Okay, so I don't have to deal with that or that. Now, just as a quick side note to that, whenever I say a course price, note that that's the US price. Okay, one of the things I love about Europe is that when you go to a store and you see something that's 10 euro, you're going to pay 10 euro. In the US, if it's $10 and you're in, let's say, Pennsylvania, you're going to pay $10 plus 6% sales tax. So you're going to pay $10.60. My European friends, you probably have no clue about that, or maybe you do, but that seems foreign, odd, and weird. Okay? Yeah, I kind of wish we were like you. Sorry, we're not. So when it comes to pricing, if I say a course is $100 and you go and look and it's a different price, that's probably because you're in a country that applies VAT. And VAT is applied to that up front, so it's like you understand, but I can't say the course is $120 because it's $120 for you, it's $122 for your neighbor in Germany, and it's $100 for the person in Alabama. So that's difficult when it comes to saying, here's how much this is. And so I've tried to kind of back away from saying pricing, and that's not because I want to bait and switch you. I don't want you to ever assume that I don't want to tell you until you're kind of already sold on the product, and that is a marketing tactic. But that's not me, okay? That's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I don't want to confuse you where I say it's $100 and you go in and it's $120, okay? So, but that's what Teachable provided. All right, so let's look at Teachable real quick. I want to give you a little bit of an overview of Teachable because sometimes you miss some features here. So this is the landing page you'll see if you're logged out. If you're logged in, you'll probably see just your courses. But if you're logged out, this is what you'll see. And these are the top 6 featured courses. I'm not real thrilled with how this is laid out. I'm actually going to be hiring someone to make this look better. But until then, this is just an order for these courses. These are just the ones that I have up front. Okay, so you'll see that the IAmTimCorey Retail Manager is now listed here, as well as the Upgrading the .NET Core from start to finish, and the Complete Foundation in C# course series. Let's dive into the Foundation in C# course series. This is the one I recommend everybody start with, unless you really know C# well. And even so, I recommend you go in here and look at the courses in this bundle. You may find there's something you want to get even if you know C# pretty well. Okay? Now this is a bundle. And this has been a little confusing to people because this includes pre-order courses. And so the price, if you add up the 7 courses that are in here, it's not going to match the price for what you'd pay if you bought the whole bundle. That's because this is the price for paying for 8 courses versus the 10 that are in the bundle. Okay, the first one's free no matter what. Okay, so this is a savings, but only after you have all 10 in here. And if you buy it now, when the new ones come out, the next one's going to come out, I'm hoping in like a week or so. And then I'm hoping to have all 3 out before the end of 2019. All right, so but down here, it lists all the courses in this bundle. So if you go to Course 1, here's a little trick. Okay, Course 1 is free for everyone. There's a reason for this. If you click on Course 1, first of all, notice it's got just a short amount of things. But the course overview right there, if you can't pay for a course, you can't afford it, guess what? Watch this course. Because this course and the course overview is going to go over what you need to learn about C# and in what order. Now it's going to tell you that from the perspective of this is what we're covering in these courses. However, You can watch that and say, okay, I now know these are the things I should learn in this order. Now, there are categories. It's not specific. Okay, learn the if statement after week 5. But it's saying, okay, learn some basic syntax first. Then learn debugging. Then go on and learn, and it goes through the different steps, okay? Object-oriented programming and just the start of it. And then practice that with a larger project. And then come back to the more advanced object-oriented programming. And then go on, and it goes through the different levels, okay? So this is a good one if you can't afford anything. This first will get you started with Visual Studio and C#, and it will give you a good overview of what you should learn in what order. That's pretty important for some people, okay? Now, if you are in a course and you're saying, I'm just not sure what object-oriented programming part 1's going to cover, if you were to go into that course, look down here, and you see the course curriculum, and you can expand this out, okay? So you can see that this course covers static classes, instantiation, it covers properties, namespaces, class libraries, and it does a mini project as well. That's what this course covers, okay? So you can see that. You can also see a preview here where you can watch the opening of the course, and it covers what this course is going to cover, all right? So if we come back over here to common project types, you open this up and note that there's a lot more because it's project types, but there's a lot more in here as far as, okay, class libraries, unit tests, WinForm, WPF, and so on. And you can look through this and go, okay, if I'm going to learn in order, that's kind of the order to learning it. I'm not going to learn user interfaces until after I've gone through object-oriented programming, debugging, common syntax, okay? There's kind of an order to this thing, all right? Now, if you're wondering, number 8 is going to be data access. So we're going to cover things like SQL and SQLite and MongoDB and Cosmos DB and Link and Entity Framework. I know that's going to be mind-blowing for some of you who've been around for a while. Entity Framework, we're going to cover it. EntityFramework.core, actually. And the reason why is because it's getting better. And for some of you who don't understand why I don't like Entity Framework, it really comes down to the fact that most people who use Entity Framework, I'm not going to say all of you, but most people think that because it's easy and it works, that it's done. And that's dangerous because it can be super slow if you're not careful. In fact, Entity Framework Core 3.0 just fixed a problem. I'd call it a bug, but it's a problem that people didn't realize. And that was that if you in your where statement say run a method against the thing in the where, essentially what it's going to do is pull down every single record from your table. That's not a problem if you have 10 records or 100 records, and which is what you probably have in development. When you put that in production and you have 10 million records in your table, guess what's going to happen to your application? You're going to bring it to its knees. And that's not a bug you're going to find in development. So those type of things are an issue. And now at least the tooling says, hey, you know what? That's an issue. Are you sure you want to do that? So those are the kind of things that I kind of push back on. So that's going to be an interesting video. We're going to look through, hey, how do you actually use Entity Framework safely? And how do you understand the behind the scenes? And I'll do a larger, more expanded course on Entity Framework at some point where we go into the depth about that, because this is more a foundation, not a comprehensive. But it's a good foundation, a good place to start. I'll get you the 80 to 90% you need for almost everything you learn. Okay, so that's Module 8, is all about data access. Module 9 is going to be another start to finish project. Okay, we're going to take what we've learned so far in 1 through 8, and we're going to put together a project that uses a lot of the things that we've already covered. Module 10 is a really fun one for me, and that is, I call it my career module. It's the idea of how do I get work experience when I don't have any work experience, okay? So everybody asks for work experience, but I don't have any, so how do I get it? How do I continue learning beyond here? okay? And how do I ask a question on the internet? Now, I've covered that on a YouTube video. We're going to go a little more in depth in this. But then also, how do I get a job? What do I do day one or week one on the job? That's an important topic. What do you do right out of the gate in your job? Okay? And then how do I advance in my job? How do I go to the next level? How do I become a mid-level software developer from a junior developer? How do I become a senior developer from a mid-level developer? Those type of questions we're going to tackle in that last module. So these are a lot of fun because really at the end of the day, and this is what I focus on a lot, software development learning is not about entertainment. I mean, if you want to do it for entertainment, that's awesome. I have people in their 80s that contact me and say, you know what? I'm watching your content, love it, and I'm just learning it to learn it because I want to learn something new. I want to keep my brain active. Awesome. Go for it. Okay? But the vast majority of people are watching this because you want to get paid. You want to be able to supply for your family. You want to be able to advance in your career. And so the idea of how do you do that efficiently? Because just grinding it out isn't always the best answer. Okay? You want to move forward fast. I'm going to make it easier because that's my goal. Okay? So that's the foundation project and also how to navigate these projects. So whenever you're in all courses, if you find a course that you're interested in, like Docker, you can expand the curriculum and see what the different pieces are. And notice with Docker, the intro preview is free. The intro to each section is free. The conclusion isn't free, but everything else, the starter video is free. So you can kind of get an idea of what are we covering in this section? What's going on? Okay? So that's one thing. I do have this blog section. I want to rename it from blog because it's not a blog. Okay? The last post was August 21st. This is not a regular place that I put information. I put important pieces of information. So for example, should I use Entity Framework? There's a whole section on that, and here's my thoughts on it. I am not one to bash Entity Framework. I'm not here to say it's awful. There's a lot of good that it can do. But this is my thoughts on how it works and how it typically is used. Okay, so there's some things like that. Is WinForms dead? This is one that I get a lot. So I saw this issue a lot. Cannot insert the value null into column ID. And people get this message saying, well, what does it mean? Well, it means exactly what it says. But I understand it's confusing. And so I wrote a quick blog post on that to kind of show you, here's why, okay? You don't allow nulls here, but you're also not making it an identity. So you got to turn that on, okay? And there's a lot of stuff, how to learn C# well, all right? So there's a lot of stuff in here that can be helpful, but it's not a blog. It's just more a, here's some valuable posts once in a while that I find. One of the things people ask a lot is, hey, Tim, how can I hire you? I do consulting. In fact, I have 4 consulting clients right now. I try to limit it to that, okay? I'm pretty exclusive about that because I try to focus on what can help the most people. And while it's really fun and it's really invigorating to come alongside a client and help them succeed, and that's what I love to do the best. So my primary consulting is I will come in, I'll review your system, review what you're doing, and I'll say, you know what, here's how I can launch you forward faster. Here's the way to kind of point you in the right direction. Because walking slowly in the right direction will always get to the end goal faster than running fast in the wrong direction. Okay? That's the plain and simple truth. If you're not pointed towards your goal, doesn't matter how fast you run. You're not going to get there. So that's what I try and do, is I try and point you at the goal, make you go there faster, just from the standpoint of you're pointed in the right direction. You're moving forward the way you need to. So that's what I try and do with my consulting clients. But when people contact me and say, hey, can you help us? My answer is this consulting page right here. This consulting page kind of talks through what I do. But one of the things that I highlight down here that I really point people at is it's going to cost you. It's $3.50 an hour, minimum of 4 hours. Okay, and the reason why is I really do jealously protect your time. I want to help the most people possible. One-on-one, while it's fun, while it's invigorating, while I can do a lot of good for you, I'm only helping one person. If I do a video, I can help thousands of people in less time. So I do limit my consulting hours, and I say, you know what? I'm only going to do about probably 10 to 20 hours a month, max. That's it. So I do try and limit that. And if you decide, hey, you know what? I want to talk to you, I want to set you up for consultancy, I want to bring you in, the very first thing I say is, you know what? It's going to be a couple $1,000s just to start. And I will make sure it's worth it. Because if I don't find that I can provide you the value that you need, I'm not going to work with you. I'm going to tell you that. I'll point you in the right direction. I'll say, you know what? These are the things I would think about and talk through, but really it's not something I can provide enough value for you on. But if I can provide you enough value where what you're paying me, you're going to get back quickly, then I will definitely try and help you if I can. But you might be put out 6 months or even a year because that's my backlog. Okay? So I do have this consulting page. If you want to get started, if you want more information about consulting, read through this first. Okay? Make sure you're okay with this. Because the first question I'm going to ask is, are you okay with that? And I'll get a lot of people that want me to help, but it's a personal project, it's a small project, it's a one-person shop, and they're like, well, I just can't afford that. I understand. Unfortunately, I can't help everybody. Okay? But if that's something for you, go ahead and click the Get Started Now, fill the form out. Some people find that they think this is the only way to contact me, is this form. It's not. In fact, it's probably one of the worst ways to contact me. Because if it's not a consulting gig, then I'm probably going to ignore it for a while. Not because I'm trying to ignore it, because I have a lot of people contacting me. The best way to contact me is my email address, tim@IAmTimCorey.com. Okay, there you go. Email me. Now, with that being said, I get a lot of email. I've looked back over the past couple of years, and I've had about 7,500 email that I've responded to over the past 3-ish years from people, okay, from people like you. I really try hard to talk to every person. I really try hard to provide a full explanation for every person, because I find that that's valuable. Okay, I want to help you, and even though it's a one-on-one, I really try and point you in the right direction. But at some point, I have to cap that. And so I am working on a forum system like I'm trying to put in place that will be not a replacement for Stack Overflow, not a replacement for some of these other systems like Code Project or other places where you can go to ask technical questions, but as a kind of a supplement to what we do at IAmTimCorey. And part of the reason for that is I want to give you more value and give you the ability to ask the questions, get answered. But at the same time, I am one person, and this is a way for me to scale where maybe you can answer a question for somebody else. Okay, so we're going that direction. But again, if you want to get in contact with me, tim@IAmTimCorey.com. Love to hear from you. I will try my best to get back to you. It'll probably be 3 to 7 days. Okay, but I will try my best. All right, if you're looking for consulting, that's where you can go to get it. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at with IAmTimCorey. That's how you navigate it. It's pretty simple stuff. Okay, just find the course that looks right for you. You can search up here if you want. I am working on reorganizing this so it's a little bit clearer as to what is where, and maybe even redo some of these designs. This is a newer design that my brother-in-law, Dan, did for me. Dan is a really great designer, and I wish I had more of his hours. But if you see something that looks great, that's probably Dan. If he says something that looks, it's all right. For example, that right there, the weekly challenges course, that was me. Okay, that was just me trying to work something in Canva. I'm not a designer, but Dan really takes my stuff to the next level. So I'm working on getting more design like this in place, where I have a common color scheme and kind of group things together so it's easier to find where do I go next. That's the question this page does not answer. Where do you go next? Okay, and that's where some of my content, like the Complete Foundation in C# course, tries to answer some of, is start there. And then when you start there, inside there, you may start in number 6, okay, or number 7. That's fine, okay? But I would encourage you to start from 1 because more often than not, you'll find you have gaps. I did, and that's what I'm trying to fill, these gaps. Okay, let's go back to YouTube real quick and go back to actually my channel itself. So let's pop over to the channel. I do want to point out, I can pause Tim there. I do want to point out this feature right here, this little search box. If you have a question and say, Tim, do you have unit test videos? Type unit test and hit enter. Intro unit test, mocking a unit test, weekly challenge for unit test, and then some other things that would mention unit tests like dependency injection and exception handling. So that really quickly gets you to the videos that you need. All right, that's something that's often overlooked. It's not the search at the top. It's the search on my channel. If you use the search on my channel, you can find the information you need. Also, in every video, it should be every video, I may have missed 1 or 2, but you'll find a sign up for the newsletter / mailing list, and you'll probably find source code. And in the newer videos, you'll also find my Patreon link. Okay, so let's go to a newer video. Let's pick the logging with Sarah log. All right, and we come here, we see Patreon. Okay, now Patreon, we're going to talk about in just a minute, but Patreon was really not something I was planning on doing. And the reason why is because I really try hard to provide value for everything I do. That's my goal. And so I don't like the idea of you giving me money and me not giving you something in return. But I had a number of people come to me and say, you know what, Tim, I just want to support and I just want to help out. And one of the things that I realized is it wasn't necessarily me you're trying to support, although it is what you're saying. But what you're saying is I want to invest in this. I want to encourage what you're providing on YouTube. And so since I'm already looking at paid courses as a way to provide more free courses, I realized that, you know what? Patreon's a way I can provide more free content. And so I created a Patreon page and said, just, don't feel obligated. But if you want to, it's there. And I have kind of evolved. It's still an evolutionary process to figure out what to do with Patreon. But the $5 per month level or higher, that's where you get the source code for the IAmTimCorey Retail Manager series. Again, it's just something that, I can provide something I'm already doing, but provide a little extra if you're a Patreon member. I've now added the $10 per month level or higher. So you're paying $10 a month and you get to see my videos as soon as I'm done with them, my Monday videos, instead of when they launch. So right now is already a video. Today is Sunday. There's a video that's been out since Saturday on my Monday video. Okay, so they get it 2 days early. And in fact, they'll probably get the next one even earlier. So I'm trying to kind of batch up and get some videos done so I can concentrate on wrapping up the Foundation C# course number 8. Okay, so I try and batch these things and then do work on just coursework. Kind of help me focus. But there's a link right here. Go to Patreon. We'll open that up. Actually, it's already open over here. Also, mailing list. Mailing list is one of those things that it's a nicer page. Dan did that. But this allows you to sign up to get, don't forget the checkbox right here, to get email from me. And I don't email that often. In fact, I had one person that said, did I get on your mailing list because I haven't gotten an email? And yes, you did probably. But I try to email sparingly. I really try not to fill your inbox. Now, when you first sign up, you're going to get 3 emails from me. One's going to share my story, and 2, we're going to give you free resources. Okay, that's something new I've been doing, and the reason why is I want to start you off on the right foot. And so here's some things to help getting you started. What direction should I go, and how do I do planning? Those are the 2 things I tackle in those first 3 videos and provide you those free resources. The third video is going to give you an option of one of 3 buttons to hit to get that resource. And that's going to put you in a track. And so the idea behind that is I'm really trying hard not to be salesy. Okay, that's not my goal. But I do firmly believe that my products help people. I've seen lives change. I've seen people get jobs. I've seen people increase in their job or improve in their job, get raises. And I've seen people who have, been struggling succeed because of this content. And so I do believe in it. And so when you choose one of those 3, it's going to tell me a little bit more about what you really need. Okay. Whether it's I'm just getting started, or I want to go deeper, or it's, hey, I'm just here to, get the free stuff. And that's cool. Okay. You can do that. But any of those 3 paths is going to give you a couple more emails. And those emails are going to give you an option to get a discounted course, okay, to get you started. And again, it's that idea of I want to help you succeed right out of the gate. And that's my starter. But after that, we're not going to talk unless I have something to say. And I say an awful lot on YouTube, so I don't necessarily say a lot in email. You'll probably get an email or 2 a month from me, maybe less, maybe more. Okay, but we're going to probably have another email coming out. I believe, well, I'll probably announce this video via email, but then we'll probably have another email coming out around the end of the month. Okay, so not many. All right, but this is the way to get signed up. You'll hear my mailing list and Patreon. Those are the places I give out the most discounts. So if you want discounts, mailing list for free. And if you want to go on Patreon, it's up to you. You will get discounts as well. All right, so that's the mailing list. We'll get to Patreon in just a minute. Also, I have changed up a little bit the source code. In fact, this is something that I am working on perfecting. You're working with a beta product. But the idea is that when you ask for the source code, it's actually going to pop up this page and says, hey, can you give me your name and email address? And I'll email you the source code. Still a work in progress. So those of you who don't get emails from this, let me know, and I will get the email to you. Still working on, hey, can I attach these files, or should I just send a link? I'm still working that out. Okay, this is a alpha product maybe that I designed. And it's something that I'll probably eventually sell, because this is something that's not in the industry today. The idea of a lead magnet is the idea that I give something for free in exchange for an email address. And that really is what it is. You're paying with your email address. And if you put your email address in this form, you will get an email from me on my mailing list. It's what it is. Okay, you've paid for that free attachment. And I've had a couple of complaints because, like, oh, you're spamming me. Here's the deal: you watched a free video, you got value out of it. Hopefully, you got enough value out of it. You say, you know what? I would like the source code that I could have typed along with Tim. Instead, I'm going to ask for it from Tim already completed. That's when you pay with your email address. I don't think it's too much to ask, but here's the cool thing. If you decide, yes, that's too much to ask, when you get your first email, click unsubscribe. You're off a list. Okay? So that's not a lot to ask, I don't think. Okay? But that's the system I'm starting to use. I am working really hard to get that updated and work a little bit better and be a little more rock solid in how it works. Okay? So that's coming, but just trying this out, trying to see how it works, and having really good success with it. Okay? But again, for the 99%, 98% of people. But there's some kinks in there I gotta work out. Okay, so that's that. Let's talk through Patreon. Patreon, one thing I want to point out here, I have the tiers here, and really the focus is on on these 3 tiers, probably a $5 and $10 a month the most. Okay, this is where I see the most people coming in, and this is where I put the most value. So intro live share, that's the video coming out on Monday. That's already been posted as of November 16th, which is yesterday as of the time of this video, Saturday. So they have 2 days early they can see this video if you're at the $10 per month level or higher. That's just something I provide without providing extra effort on my part, really. And that's the thing. I don't want to spend a lot of time focusing on the paid people. And so I try and give you something that that I can give without a whole lot of effort, but still provides an added value to you without taking away value from free people. Okay? One other thing I want to point out, though, is this goals section over here. People often miss this. So the first goal was $750 reached per month, and that was I'll publish a behind-the-scenes tour of my office, my computer setup, and how I record videos. If you ask me, hey, what's your computer setup like? How do you do monitors? All those kind of things. I create a video for that, and it's actually on Patreon. You can go watch it, and that's provided for you. Okay? But the next goal level, we're really close to. In fact, we're about $200 a month away from this next level. So might be something you want to get in on, because I'm going to publish an exclusive making of video for one of my YouTube videos. Think of this kind of like a mini documentary. Okay, it's a behind the scenes of how to come up with the idea, how do I design the video, how do I map out the sample content, how do I publish it, and edit it, and all the rest. So this is a pretty cool video. It's one that a lot of people have asked about. My process, how I do it, how long it takes, how do I do it faster? Because it used to be that a video would take 10 hours between really from the time I started until I was produced. Okay. Now that didn't even account for all the study time beforehand. So I was doing 20 hours for a video probably, maybe even 30 sometimes. And that was pretty draining. Now I'm down to 5 or less, even for an hour video. Part of that is my skills have increased as I have taught. Okay, I've gotten better about speaking, but I've also gotten better about that little pause just a minute ago. I leave it in because I'm not perfect in how I speak. In fact, I really try hard to enunciate, and I struggle. Part of this is my allergies. My allergies are a constant year-round thing. I'll always be fighting with my nose being half blocked up and drainage, and my mouth being full and dry sometimes. That's why I have the water. Speaking of which. But that's a struggle. Part of it's just how I speak, and it's something I have to overcome. Working on that, but I've also gotten to the point where, you know what, I'm a real person. And if I say it's not the end of the world. You get it. I'm really going to try hard not to. I'm going to try hard to do things right the first time, but you understand I'm a real person. Part of what taught me that was my most popular video. If you remember back, my most popular video is that video that I was on a USB mic that was noisy, and I did no noise cancellation or noise reduction, and I was in my bedroom with no noise cancellation stuff around me. Like you can see the phone behind me, and I have a thing in the corner for the bass traps, and I got a lot of stuff around me now to make the environment better. I didn't have any of that, and that's my most popular video because it wasn't as much about the production quality as it was the content. That's the thing that I'm focusing on most. So I've gotten better about how quick I can put out videos because I could spend an extra 20 hours per video making it better. Or I can put out 4 more videos. Which do you think will be more helpful to you in the long run? 5 videos versus 1. Okay? So that's what I do. But with this goal right here, you're going to see that you get the behind the scenes making of. You get to see kind of how I do my process. All right? So I'm looking forward to doing that. That's coming up shortly. So I'd love to see you get on board to be a part of that. Okay? So that's Patreon. Let's close down some of these tabs here. All right, so you've seen how to kind of sort through my channel. You've seen how to find the content you want on IAmTimCorey. You've seen Patreon, my mailing list. Let's talk about going forward. All right, I don't want to make this video too long, but hey, I also want to provide you with some value. So going forward, where are we going from here? Well, the first thing is more courses are coming. I have a list of about 20 courses that are just my top 20 that I want to get out the door. So the 3 for the foundation series are coming out soon. I really want to get those out the door and wrap up that foundation series. I also have a one-off on HTML and on CSS. I might combine those, we'll see. But I want to cover HTML and CSS in a course because that's something, if you're a web developer, it's adjacent to C#. You're going to need to know HTML, CSS. I'll also cover JavaScript to an extent, but one of the things that is dangerous about covering JavaScript is people think that if you're a web developer, you have to know Angular or React or Vue or all these large frameworks in order to use web. You don't. In fact, if that's the place you start, you're setting yourself up for failure because you need to know JavaScript before you know those frameworks. Those frameworks are going to change. Guaranteed. They change all the time. You need to know JavaScript in order to understand those frameworks. And you don't need a framework for everything. Okay, so we're going to cover that. We'll also cover then Blazor as a course at some point in the probably second quarter of next year. But before that probably is Xamarin. I want to cover Xamarin, how to build mobile apps. That's been a big topic on my list I've been working on, and it's not coming out as soon as I'd like it to, but I'd like to get that out soon so we can get going on mobile development. And Timco will also use Xamarin at some point, as well as probably Blazor. Beyond that, and here's something I haven't released what it is yet, but I am going to try a Udemy course. And this is something I get questioned on a lot. Why don't you just put your courses on Udemy? And the reason is because it's not great necessarily to put on Udemy. I have less control. I have the ability to control my pricing on IAmTimCorey.com. And yes, my pricing is more expensive. But here's the deal. On Udemy, the only way I could have the income level that I do in order to support me full-time doing this is if I had about 10 times the number of students, which I might be able to get with Udemy. But if I do that, I have to support 10 times the number of students. So the fact that I am replying to every email and every YouTube comment isn't going to happen when I have 10 times the students. So I've been trying to balance that where I can be more responsive with a smaller audience. And so I've tried to balance that, and I like the idea of being able to control my own destiny a little bit more. Okay, but I'm going to try Udemy. If Udemy works and if I can find a good balance there, I may put more content there. Now, I am not putting my existing content on Udemy. Just note that. Even if Udemy is a huge success, what I have now will not go there. And part of the reason for that is because I am making a commitment that the value you get on my content today will be the same as it is tomorrow. And part of that is you're not going to find that you pay $100 today and $5 tomorrow. That's just not okay with me. Okay, I do some sales, and sometimes people say, well, I just bought it and now it's a sale. That's kind of how life works. Okay, but I'm really going to try hard not to do the 95% off, and all of a sudden you're like, I just paid that money. Okay, I'm going to try not to do that. Udemy, the way the pricing works is if I bring you in, if I say, okay, here's a link, go follow this link and buy my course, I get that money, most of it. I don't get the transaction fees. If Udemy brings someone in, then or if you search for me on Udemy and find me, then I'm going to get half of that money. So if I put a $200 course on Udemy, first of all, we're going to slash it down about 90% and say it's $10 course. Okay. And they're going to say it's $199, but for a short time only, which is all the time, it's going to be $10. And so you buy it. Okay. I get $5. Actually, I get $4.50 or something like that. That's not a ton of money. Okay. So if I put a 20-hour course out there and I get $4.50 for it per person, how many people do I have to get before I actually have a decent amount of money income-wise coming out of it? A lot. Okay, a lot of students. And then they give it away for free sometimes. And there's just a lot of things that I have to be careful on there. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to try one course on Udemy. We'll see how it goes. If it's positive, I may do more of that. I don't like the idea of splitting my platform up, but if that helps draw people into the IAmTimCorey side, cool. If it helps me provide more courses at a price that people around the world can pay for, awesome. Love it. The danger is if you pay $10 for a course, what are the odds you're going to use it? Not great, honestly. In fact, there's numerous people that I know, they're like, oh yeah, I've got like 10 Udemy courses that I own. And I ask, well, how many have you gone through? I went through the start of a few of them. That's not helping you learn C# better. That's helping me get more money. That's not what I'm about. That's not my goal. Okay? So if you save and you save up and you spend $100 and it took you 3 months to save up, what are the odds you're going to go through that course? High. Because it's valuable. And my content is valuable. That's not a brag. That's the truth. My content will help you learn C# better. And the way it does it is because it's real world. And so you're going to get that value out of it. So I'm not going to just make everything Udemy pricing, but I will bring some things in Udemy and see how that works. Okay? Because maybe I can help more people doing that. Now, the very first course that goes on Udemy, the one that's going to come out hopefully around the start of the year, maybe in January or February, but hopefully sooner than that. The course I'm going to put on there is a working with C# in Excel. Okay, so we're going to take C#, we're going to connect it to Excel and allow you to create Excel files, read Excel files, and do all the manipulation of Excel files with C# easily. And hopefully that's going to provide you another data source you can work with and also provide you some value because really users know how to use Excel. Okay, and you can take the information they give you and bring it into a real database using C#. So we're going to work with that. Also, the other way around, you can take data from a real database that maybe users don't know how to work with. You can bring it into Excel, and now I can do queries and all the rest in Excel, and it's not hurting your data. So it can be a really great reporting tool as well. So that's the course I'm going to do in Udemy. And that's going to come, hopefully, like I said, start of the year. Okay? Now, the last thing I'm working on, the big one, is I'm working on a guided learning experience. This is hard. It's hard to get right. Because, again, just giving you a course sometimes isn't enough. But me mentoring you specifically isn't really feasible. I just don't have time to mentor 100,000 people, okay? Or even a percentage of that, 10,000 people. Just don't have the time. And so I've got to find a way, and I'm working on a way where I can help walk you through the process of learning in a guided manner. Not just giving you a course and saying, do this, which that absolutely will work, okay? You do the Foundation C# course, you do all the homework, you will get better, guaranteed, okay? But sometimes it takes a little more structure for some people, a little more teaching you how to study and walking you through that process. So I'm working on a guided learning experience. that will help with that. Helping you set up a learning structure even outside of my courses that will help you out. Okay? So that's what's coming. I'm working on it. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them. How can I help you in a way that's scalable, in a way that is not just a one-on-one? I can't just dive into your projects. Even reviewing your homework is kind of overwhelming, because if I have even 100 people that do that, and you're doing 10 homework assignments, I have to now review 1,000 code projects and tell you what the problems are. Just don't have time for that. That'd be 3 a day, every single day. It's just way too draining, and I need to protect my health, if nothing else. Okay, so that's where we're coming. That's where we're going. Now, I did mention, and I've kind of touched on it a couple times, but the biggest question I get, and this is one that if you're going to email me a question, it's going to reflect this somehow probably. And the question is, I feel like an imposter. How do I learn C# well? How do I become a junior developer? How do I go from a junior developer to a mid-level developer? How do I become a senior developer? How do I get better at this? How is it that my coworker is so much farther ahead than I am? How do I not get left behind? These are all basically the same question. How do I learn C# well? And I have an answer that I give to pretty much everybody. It's not a copy and paste answer, although I'm thinking I might have to do some of that, or even create a special video that covers it. But here's the answer. And it's not the easy fix that you'd want it to be. The answer is practice. You need to practice everything you learn. Everything. People often get this wrong, okay? Because they say, you know what, I'm going to learn C#. I want to build this application that processes images. And so that's their starter project. No, don't do that, okay? Because I liken it to me learning to run. I don't run. That's just not my thing. I do a treadmill 3 times a week, but come on, it's not running. Not for what I do. I do a mile or 2. That's about it. If I were to decide I'm going to start running, and I'm going to run the Boston Marathon, I'm not going to show up to the Boston Marathon, even if I could. I'm not going to show up to the Boston Marathon and go, let's do this. That's not going to work. It will be awful. I'll get through mile 1 and be like, I'm done. Okay? Because this is harder than the treadmill. I can't do 26 miles. I just can't. I mean, I could. I'd walk it. And, a day later, I'd be like crossing the finish line and there's cars all around because they've, opened the route back up. And that wouldn't be good. It would be painful. It would be difficult. I'd be discouraged. I'd want to give up. Does that sound like your learning experience? I know it sounded like mine. Okay? And the reason why is because you're trying to do something large day 1. Not the place to start. If you're going to learn to run a marathon, you need to run a little bit. Run 100 meters and back every day. Then go 200, then 300, then 500 meters. And start building up a cadence. And start running, if the first event you do will probably be a 5K event. Okay? 2.5 miles, 5 kilometers. That's it. Okay? That's what you're going to run. And you're not going to be the best at it that time. It's going to be hard. Do it again. And again. And again. And you'll get to be 10K. And then you'll be a 20K. And you'll be half marathon. Then you'll get to the marathon stage. But it's not going to be day 1. And it's not going to be the first thing you do competitively. The same thing is true for development. The first application you build should not be the large application that's real. Okay? Real applications are way down the road. Okay? What you need to do is you need to do small little things over time and keep practicing. Here's the way I tell it to do it. When you learn something, create 2 to 5 test projects. Okay, 2 to 5. So if you learn if statement, just an if statement, that's it. Not, I learned all the C# syntax. Nope, if. When you learn if, create 2 to 5 test projects, meaning a small console application that does nothing. Okay, don't say, because one of the questions I get is, well, I don't know what to do. What you do is you create a console application that does nothing. All it's going to do is have an if statement. Okay, so you write a little bit of code that just says, you know what, let's do it. Let's open up Visual Studio, and we're going to write a little bit of code to test the if statement. So I create a new project. It's off the screen, I know, but I'm creating a console application. Here we go. Console 4 is fine. Excuse me. So we're going to create a test console application to test out the if statement. Okay. So let's do this. Let's get rid of this line, and we'll put a console read line at the end. We're going to write just enough code to test the if statement. So string first name equals Tim. Now, normally you ask for the first name, you do a console read line. Nope, not going to do that. We're not creating a full application. We're creating a test of the if statement. If first name equals Tim. Hi, Tim. Okay, that may be all your test is. You've just written an if statement. That's it. But what have you done? You have made sure you know how to do the syntax for an if statement. If this doesn't compile, you didn't do it right. Okay? Figure it out. Go back, learn it again. Now do it. Got an if statement down. It works. It compiles. Cool. Run it. It should be, since this is a constant Tim, that it's going to say, yes, that is Tim. Therefore, it's going to say, hi, Tim. That should be true. Okay? If it does, cool. You've now tested the very basics of an if statement. Now expand on it. Now I say 2 to 5 test projects, and here's why. Because I encourage you to actually do file new project again. Especially when you're first starting out. But really pretty much anytime. Because doing multiple test projects instead of one project that has multiple tests in it, the difference is you have not only practiced your if statement, you've also practiced setting up a project. And that may seem elementary, but it's not. Okay? It's something that you have to practice. If you have created 100 console applications, will you be more confident in creating console applications in the real world? Yeah. You create 100 of them. If you created one that you put a whole bunch of stuff in, will you be confident in creating a new console application? Not as. Now, console is simple. I get that. But what about ASP.NET web applications, like a Razor Pages application? If you create 100 of those, are you confident how to set it up and start it? Sure. If you created one, not so much. Okay? So I'm going to do it in the same project, but I encourage you, do it in another project. Okay? So this would be project 1. All right? But then I'd probably come down here and I would, in fact, let's copy this because I'm going to do project 1 and project 2 so you can see it. So this is project 2. And I have the same if statement, but now I would do else and say, hi, other person. Okay? Actually, you know what? Let's just get rid of this. I'm not giving you this code. You can do this. Okay? But there's now project number 2. You're testing out the else statement. Now it's not going to hit the else statement. And in fact, make sure it doesn't right now. But then change this to be Jane and make sure it says hi, other person. Now you understand how an if statement works and how an else statement works. That's project number 2. Number 3. What if we did string last name equals, actually, you know what? Not even that yet. We're going to do an else if first name equals Jane. Okay? Hi, Jane. Now, some of you may be looking at this code and saying, you know what? That's bad code, Tim. You could collapse that into one if statement that was if first name equals Tim or Jane and put the name here. Stop. Your point is not to write amazing code in here. Your point is to test out the if statement. That's it. If you stress out about writing perfect code, you will not write a lot of test projects. You got to write test projects. You got to test these things out. Now you've tested out the if, the else if, and the else. Make sure that all three of them run. Now, you would say string last name equals Corey. All right? And we'll take the else if out of here for now. And we'll say and last name equals Corey. Okay? And he goes, wait, you have a compiler error. What's my compiler error? Okay? Boolean string. So I didn't learn if statement well. What's the problem? I got to figure this out. Oh, it's just I have to put double equals. Guess what has happened? I learned something from experience. I knew that, but I learned it from experience. And experience is a great teacher. So don't just scrap your application and start over. Figure out why it's wrong, because it's going to happen again. Okay? I have people often that email me and say, this doesn't work. And I type it just the way you did. Well, you probably didn't, because something's probably off. And finding that bug, that is valuable. Don't just try and get the easy out. Figure it out. Take the time. I can't teach you debugging of these kind of problems in a video. It's really hard, because unless I make the mistake and don't see it, I'm not going to be able to teach you how to debug this, because I already know the answer. And it's really hard to fake not knowing the answer. Okay? So this right here is a great way to get that experience, is to type the code out, maybe have a bug, and fix it. Okay? So, but also, this is project number 3. And we've tested the and. So first name equals Tim and last name equals Corey. Right? Now we could test out the or. Or first name equals Jane. That's it. And you say, well, is that going to work right? Well, test it out. And if you put Jane Smith, it will still work. You say, well, that's not right. That's because we haven't put any parens around here. Okay? Where we said Jane, first name equals Jane, and last name equals Corey. Okay? And then put parens. So you'll find these kind of things out through testing it out. All right? Now, testing this out, you're going to figure this out and go, oh, I get it. I understand. I've got the muscle memory in my fingers of typing this stuff out. That's what I'm talking about with 2 to 5 test projects. I've just done 4 test projects on this application just for an if statement. Okay? When you're learning WPF, how to even start a project, is 2 to 5 test projects. Okay? So there's a lot you can do with these test projects. Do a lot of them. Don't try and do full applications. Do 10, 15 of these before you try to create a little bit larger an application that uses multiple of these together. All right? And then do more of the individual. And then do, a little bit bigger one that uses those pieces. And then try and do a start to finish project. Not a large one, a small one. Okay? We often try and get enthusiastic and try and build these large applications that are enterprise-wide. And the reality is, every application needs to cut down by 2/3. Everyone. So start off simple. TimCo is even complicated, and we're trying to keep everything as simple as possible. Okay? So try and keep it small and simple. If you'll notice, the Foundation C# course series does this. Okay? So what I do is every video that has any kind of coding around it has a homework assignment. Right now, I don't have the answers for those homework assignments. Some people get a little frustrated by that. They're like, I want to see the answer. Yeah, but I want you to learn. And so I've intentionally not included it. I may at some point. I may break down and do it. Because I do want you to learn. But everything you need for the homework assignment is in that video beforehand. Watch it and practice it, and then do the homework. You can do this. Because if you have to have the homework assignment over and over and over again, then you're not actually necessarily learning it. Okay? Just seeing me do it is not learning. You have to do it on your own. Okay? Because at some point in your job, your boss is going to give you a project and say, you have to do this. And you can't call Tim. Okay? You got to do it. So there's going to have to be a little bit of that pushing you out of the nest, getting you to do it. Practice projects will really help because this boosts your confidence. Now that you've done this, you know how to use an if statement. You're more confident in how to do an if statement. Yes, you still have to keep using it because practice is really important over time. If you just do it once and forget about it, you're going to forget about it. But over time, it's important. So once you do this and keep doing it and keep doing it, your skills will grow. Does that phrase sound familiar? Kind of the weekly challenge phrase that I use every single week. If you do this, your skills will grow. Okay? Because it's true. That's the reason we have the weekly challenge. Because sometimes it's hard to find those intermediate pieces. Okay? This is the foundational piece. This is the piece that it's kind of unit testing. You can have lots of them. Okay? 2 to 5 for every little thing you learn. The weekly challenge is more like integration testing, where you're putting 2 or 3 or 4 of those concepts together into a little bit larger a project that's actually real-ish. And that's what I'm trying to push, is give you those ideas and thoughts on what to do for those little bit larger projects. Not projects per se, not real projects, but integration, those things that do 2 or 3 things together. Okay? That's what the weekly challenge is. Because I know that's tough. That's tough to think through, what do I do? It's not until way down the road after multiple of those and lots of these tests right here that you then do these start to finish. And that's what I also provide is start to finish courses. That's taking all these concepts that you've learned and putting them together into a working application. This is the marathon or the half marathon. That's what these start to finish courses are. If you start there, it's going to be hard. Okay? You're going to struggle because you have to come back to this. You have to practice everything you learn. All right? Otherwise, you're just doing it for entertainment and you're not going to grasp all the concepts you need to actually use this in the real world. It's important to practice. Put in the work. Okay? So that's how to get over being an imposter, because you know what? Everybody's an imposter. I'm an imposter. People that are much smarter than me feel like imposters because we all look to compare ourselves to somebody else. They know more than I do. Man, they're smart. Okay? That's the wrong comparison. The comparison you need to make is, where am I today? Where was I 6 months ago? Has it improved? If it has, you're doing awesome. Okay? You're making the progress you need to. And if it hasn't, it's just an opportunity to say, you know what? I'm going to change for tomorrow. I'm going to change for next 6 months down the road. So that 6 months down the road, I can say I'm farther along than I was today. Then you're being successful. Okay? So let's recap this channel. That's me looking back and saying, here's where I was. Here's where I am now. It's not just about numbers. It's about, am I providing better content? Am I helping more people? Am I doing a better job with my message and being clear about how to help you? Because if I am, I'm doing a good job. It's not about, am I better than that channel over there? Okay? First of all, they're not my competitors. Okay? Even if they're teaching C#, they're my friends. In fact, a lot of my friends teach C# in some way or another. Because I'm an MVP and I spend a lot of time with other Microsoft MVPs. And they're cool. I want them to succeed because my goal is not to be the king of the hill. My goal is not to make money. My goal is to help make learning C# easier. And so if they're helping you do that too, then they're helping my goal. And that's awesome. And I want them to succeed. The way I judge myself is not based upon how they do. It's about how I do compared to how I did 6 months ago or a year ago or 2 years ago. Okay? That's how you drop this imposter syndrome. Because you're not born knowing C#. You're not born knowing SQL or CSS or HTML or JavaScript. You're not born knowing that stuff. Some people will be better than you, faster. Some people will understand it much easier. It's not about that. It's about where are you today, where are you going to be 6 months from now. Okay? Take it slow. Don't try and conquer the world in 6 months. If you notice my channel numbers, 4 years. 4 years it took to get from about 0 to 100,000. It's going to take a few more years before I get even larger. That's not the point, and it's okay. My worth is not based upon how many people watch this content. My value is based upon how many people I can help and how well I help those people. And I judge that based upon how I did and how I'm doing, okay, and how I'm going to do. The same is true for you. Focus on that, and it will help with that imposter syndrome. Now, you're still going to struggle at times. But again, if you practice, and if you focus on moving forward, if you make practice a regular, scheduled routine, put it in the calendar, that will really help you improve and move faster. We'll talk more in Module 10, the Foundation in C# series, about how to do that in practical terms. But that's my 5-minute intro on that. Okay? So that kind of wraps up where we've been, where we are, and where we're going with this channel. I hope that you found it valuable. It's been a long video, but I kind of want to get this out there and kind of give you an overview of what's going on, kind of a recap of these past 4 years. Thanks so much for being a part of this channel. Thanks so much for encouraging me, for subscribing, for liking my videos, even for telling me when you don't like a video. Because you know what? Sometimes it's hard to hear that was stupid. And you can probably say that better. But I've grown because of that. Okay, there's been times, and it's not insignificant. There have been times when I've misspoke, or I have not done something right, or I should have done something differently. And when you call me on it and say, you know what, I think this is the way to go, then I have the opportunity to look at that and say, you know what, you're right. Now, sometimes I have a reason for not doing it that way. Okay, a lot of people have told me entity framework is the way to go, and I've told them no. Okay, it's sometimes the way to go. It is not the guaranteed way to go. In fact, the default way of going is not entity framework. That's my opinion. But we can have different opinions, and that's okay too. If you find that it works for you and you find success in it, that's cool. Okay, so we can have different opinions. The great thing about C# and programming in general is there's not one way. There's a lot of different ways you can do this, and it's not bad that there's more than one way. Okay, so but thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for helping me in this journey and for being a part of this journey. I hope that you can stick around and I can give you even more value out of this content. If you are in any way a financial supporter, even just watching the videos, I really appreciate it. Because of you, I get to do what I love to do, which is helping people. I get to do that full time. This is my full-time gig. I love it. I tell my wife all the time, I feel like I'm on vacation. And the reason why is not because I don't do work. I do a lot of work. But instead, I do what I love. I love helping you. Thank you for allowing me to do that.